Welcome back. You're still watching Network Africa on Channels Television. Now, as political tensions continue to simmer in Burundi over President Pierre Nkurunziza's plan to run for a third term, analysts are warning that the economy is in trouble as it could face a serious meltdown. The aid-reliant nation was plunged into turmoil in April when violent anti-government protests began. President Nkurunziza's opponents say his bid for another 5 years in office is unconstitutional. In his defense, he cites a court ruling that found that he could run. But we're joined in studio by our very own Boason Omofaye, who is our business correspondent. Boason, thank you again for joining us on the program. Now,
we're going to discuss Burundi.
Yes. How much trouble is Burundi in?
I think it's very, very severe. This is a country of about 9 million people, or just about 10. Per capita income is about $642. That's less than 700. That's really, really low. Foreign aid is about 6.8 foreign direct investment. In terms of what comes from the EU, Belgium and the Netherlands, that accounts for about 35% of total GDP. Agriculture is the mainstay of about 70%. So what would the people resort to? The banking system is very, very undercapitalized, very fragile, very small. This is a landlocked country that has no waters or anything around the Great Lake region. So people is a largely agrarian economy, is rural, is still a little bit primitive, if you want to put it that way, if I want to use that expression. So aid has to come from Europe. So once Europe says we're going to cut aid, then Bujumbura has to listen. And as soon as this country can put this political crisis behind it, then it can begin to go the way of its neighboring Rwanda, who's been able to, it's also small, a little bit landlocked, but now it's been able to overcome the genocide and everything that's happened before, and they're moving on a path of trajectory that now everybody's looking at Rwanda as a major economic bloc in the East African region.
So if the aid stopped coming, that's it for Burundi's economy?
Technically, yes, because if you have the EU bringing in about 35% of your GDP, and agriculture is just about 70%, but yes, this is a country that is self-sufficient when it comes to food. So they have an arable land where, yes, once the weather is good, people can eat. But again, this is an economy that is disconnected from the rest of Africa, technically speaking. I'm not sure anybody can take off his head what banks or stock exchanges is in Burundi. You can talk about any financial market that is very serious. There's no, you don't have an airline that is there. You don't have any mega consumer goods company doing business in Burundi. Therefore, it's technically in the throes of problems. Therefore, whether you like it or not, this is a country that will have to get something done very quickly. The population is very small. You can rally these people to get on a very good economic policy and begin to use agriculture as a basis for getting the economy up and running. What you produce from raw materials, turn them into some finished products, export them within East Africa. Join the East African community. Look at Rwanda is leveraging its tea and coffee and a few other things to set up a commodity exchange, which is called the East African Commodities Exchange for Rwanda, and they can get onto that as well using agriculture and be part of the East African Economic Bloc. If they don't do that, it's a very critical one that since Burundi will continue to look like one small village, like a small tiny dot on the map of Africa, right in the middle, that people don't even like to want to think about where does it exist, where does it come from. But again, where did all the money from the EU go to?
Yes, but let's look at what's happening internally. Obviously, not everybody is involved in the agriculture sector. We have people whose businesses have been shut down, particularly in the capital. Isn't this going to escalate to the crime rates? People are not getting any money or whatever. What's going to happen?
9 million people is a very small number if you look at us. If you take what size of businesses are we talking about, these are likely small and medium enterprises, not international companies. There's no oil and gas. There's no serious manufacturing. Manufacturing in Burundi is almost commodities. If government try to appropriate this through policies, cronyism, corruption, what have you, once they put all of this in there, they will start finding their way to Rwanda. Unfortunately, some of these people will also lock up shops and find their way to Rwanda. Uganda to the north, Kenya a little bit farther off, and nobody's going to go to to the west anyway, because that's Congo, because of, and some will also find their way to the southern Africa to try to find livelihood and economic emancipation that is urgently needed. You're not going to sit down for so long watching Rwanda become an oasis or paradise just next door while they are wallowing in poverty, corruption, and lack of political decisiveness and direction from the Nkurunziza's administration.
But now you just said people are going to be moving away from the country. Is this affecting the economies of the surrounding countries like Rwanda, Tanzania?
Well, 9 million isn't such a very big figure. But again, if you look at Tanzania as well, a country that is also getting back on track, Tanzania is getting into hydrocarbon business. Uganda is doing business. If you look at Mozambique, yes, with the hydrocarbon, with the hydroelectric power projects coming up there, you could find some cheap labor coming from across the border from Burundi, going into this new oil and gas economy springing around Burundi. That could be what the common man over there will do eventually, because they will have to do something. But again, I just hope that they will have what it takes to accommodate them. But again, that means that forever, quote unquote, Burundi remains a very sick economy within the Eastern Europe, Central Africa, East Africa, Central Africa region, and that is not good enough. Very small country, very small population. They just need a dynamic leader. And I keep referring to Rwanda, because it's a very good example how things could actually change from very worse to really good.
Well, we hope that will be the case.
We hope that will be the case
Thank
for
you
Burundi.
so much.
It could happen.
Amen. As our business correspondent, Boason Omofaye, thank you very much for joining us on the program. We appreciate your time.